Hello everyone. Skyfall Blind Dreamer, long time no here. Welcome to the 24th Lucid Dreaming Q&A, where shortly I will be getting into your lucid dreaming questions. I just popped over onto the YouTube live page. So hello folks, Cappuccino, I hear you're in an 8-hour car ride. Gonna be a little bit of an experiment the way I set this up. I'm not sure if the comments are gonna properly display or not. And so this will be a test to see if it works or not. We already have 14 people. This is amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And we will be getting into this shortly. So a few ground rules. There are some of you who may not have been here before. Some of you may have been a while. There is a slow mode in the chat. That is because reading with a screen reader and answering people's questions, I want to give people time to have their questions answered. And I do like to give pretty detailed responses at times. And so I will be trying to answer questions in order. If I don't get to your question, don't assume I haven't noticed it. Just assume I haven't gotten down to it yet, and try not to resend questions, as it's not going to help them get answered faster. If I legitimately miss it, that's something different, but you'll know where I am because I will highlight the question that I'm answering, and you can find it in the chat. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. Of course, questions lucid dreaming related, dream control related, I'm happy to answer anything of that nature. And I'm not actually going to be able to check these comments on StreamYard, sadly. So I am going to have to use the YouTube stream for that. Here we go. Yep. Hello, Axolotl. Long time. Voidway, welcome. All right, I am pretty much. I think I'm caught up with y'all. Yeah, actually, it's not 875 anymore. I haven't updated that count in several days. I won't be able to highlight comments because they're not showing up on StreamYard. So what I will do is I'll just read the question that I'm answering. But yeah, it's so good all you guys came out. I'm just going to send a quick test message to get to update the chat. Testing. All right. All right. Now see if you guys can send any messages in here. I want to see if I can get them. Chat actions. Oh, I need to go to live chat mode selection. Live chat. All messages are visible. Live chat. All messages. There we go. All right. I'm not getting anything new. Okay, so I'm going to refresh this page and try again. And now I'm listening to myself talk. All right. Got to deal with a dialog box now. Pause that. And there we go. Now I'm getting messages again. Yay. Yep. Cappuccino. So yeah, it wasn't updating for me. That was my problem. See, my problem has been the same for about 2 years. Consistency. It doesn't help that I had all my exams recently and stuff. And so I should just try to have fun with lucid dreaming. Right now, to be honest. Okay. Commander Fox, long time no hear. Thank you. 2038. Hello, 2038. Ryujin, hello. Doge rules, hey. Voos, hello. Axolotl, hey. Yep, got you. All right. I'm trying to catch up. Okay. Okay. Last message I have is from Oxalotl that says test. I think I know what I'm gonna have to do here. Hold up here. I'm gonna have to mute, skip ahead to live broadcast. Okay. All right. Now it's showing some messages. Doge rules. Yes, that's right. Okay, sweet. All right, now we can get into questions. Apologies for the technical difficulties. It seems the issue is with StreamYard, if I set it to a private stream, it doesn't matter on that I set it to public and scheduled on YouTube. That doesn't matter to them. It only matters that I set it to private initially because I can't set the date properly on there for some stupid reason. And so it ended up with it being set on private and me not being able to read comments over there, which, to put it lightly, is a royal pain in the tuchus. Do I have any names to look out for that I know to go to that go to the conferences consistently? Considering that consistently I have been there once, um, here are some names you could look out for. I don't know if they go consistency. Karen Conkley, Dashel Barkas, she should be there. I think she's going. Those two people are awesome. Dr. Remington Mallet, he's another one who's really cool to meet. And I don't know if he's going to be there. I think he probably will. Bob Haas, he's pretty important there. He was there last year. He's an IASD person. Dr. Michelle Carr, she's the president of IASD. She's also a researcher. Let's see who else. Who else? Of course, Dr. Elliot Gish. No idea if he'll be there. He was somebody I met. Dr. Rachel Rader is somebody that I met last year there. Dr. Benjamin Baird is another person that I met. I met some other people associated with him. I think there was somebody named Daniel Morse that was there. I'm not sure on that person's name. There were a few people from other countries, so I'm not sure who all make it from outside the US. Of course, that's a pretty long way to travel, so I can't really vouch for some of those. I can't really vouch for many of these people because I don't know if they consistently attend, but some of the names. There was a lady from Montreal, Claudia Picard Deland, who was there. There are other people from Canada that were there. Oh, let's see. Just trying to go through some of the people that I've met because it's been a while. Don't get I don't know everybody's names. Of course, Dr. LeBurge was at the Tucson conference. He lives near there in Arizona anyway, and so that wasn't actually hard for him to attend. Seeing as this one's in Oregon, he likely won't be there. I don't know if he travels much. So I don't know if he'll actually make it there or not. Life's been all right for me. Cappuccino. Opinion on Lucid Dream Portal. I'm not going to get into other channels on here. I'm not going to get into drama. Okay. And there's somebody R. Hello. Yeah, let's keep the comments Lucid Dreaming related, folks. Okay? Let's not have any drama here. We can save drama for somewhere else. Let's not have drama here. Okay. Well, anyway, let's see who. It's all the names I have right now. There are obviously plenty more people who I met there whose names just aren't coming to me at this specific moment. But if I do think of any, I might, I could let you know. But look out for anyone with a PhD who deals with lucid dreaming. One way to meet people, Philip. There are two really good ways to meet dream researchers at the conference. Three actually. One, go to the symposia, go to lucid dreaming symposiums. Go to the places where they're actually discussing the research. Two, go to the poster session. It's usually the first, I think it's the first day in the morning. And go in there and you'll find a lot of researchers are in there where they have posters about their research and they're talking about them to people. Go do a circuit of the room, introduce yourself to people, talk to people, get to know people. And three, the hospitality suite. A lot of people go to the hospitality suite and have intellectual conversations and talk about various topics. And it's usually a really intellectually stimulating environment. And it's one of the things I really enjoyed about the conference was spending time in the hospitality suite with dream researchers. It was a lot of fun. So those are three different things you can do to introduce yourself to people and to network and get to know people. And two, Square Paprika. I'm 2.5 months into lucid dreaming and have 0 lucid dreams. I'm doing wild, and for when my alarms never wake me up for wake back to bed. And two, when I wake up, I just fall back asleep immediately. Okay. Well, one, I would recommend using intentions. Or there are a couple things I recommend. One, using intentions to notice when you wake up. That's one thing you can absolutely do. That's pretty useful. You can use intentions. You can notice when you wake up through the night. It can take some time, but it can really help. And from my opinion, natural wakings are just superior to alarms. Another thing is if you are able to wake up to an alarm, you could put it farther away from where you actually sleep, which forces you to actually get out of bed and turn it off. Because sounds like you falling back asleep immediately. That something that might benefit you is actually getting out of bed for a bit and waking up a little bit and then trying to do wild. And so those are a couple things that I'd recommend. Intentions to try to notice natural awakenings, and if you are able to wake up with any alarms, putting them further from your bed so you're forced to actually have to move to deal with them. So there's a couple things. All right, Axa, how do you spawn things in a lucid dream? The answer to that is basically the same as how do you fly in a lucid dream? How do you teleport in a lucid dream? How do you change the environment in a lucid dream? How do you interact with people in a lucid dream? How do you build things or remove things in a lucid dream? How do you go anywhere in a lucid dream? How do you drive vehicles in a lucid dream? And the answer to all of these questions is it's all about your perception. It's all about what you perceive as happening, what you strongly associate with happening in that moment. Okay, so say for example, you are walking down the street and you come to a traffic light. It's a red traffic light. So, common thing you'd associate with a red traffic light is stop traffic, cars not moving. There's all these different things. Cars not moving, having to wait to cross the street, cars in front of you moving, not having the right of way, cars being able to make right turns only. All these things are associated with a red traffic light. Typically, when that traffic light changes, it'll change to green. Doesn't have to. So the thing you would probably most associate with that traffic light is car stopping and waiting for the light to turn green so you can cross the road. Now, what if the light turned purple? Now, you could make it turn purple. You just have to perceive that it will turn purple. Like that it would turn purple. Like you would imagine that it would actually turn purple. That you're confident that it would turn purple. That's what it's supposed to do, is turn purple. That's what you most strongly associate with it doing, turning purple. Same with like spawning an object. Since I can't see, I don't have a bias of there being visual things associated with being in front of me in that moment. I can just reach out for things and grab them. And that's how I spawn objects. It's actually pretty straightforward for me. When you're dealing with visuals, on the other hand, you can try to block your visual and do something, whatever you would most strongly associate with an object spawning. And there are things that can affect that, like, what you think is going to happen. Your sort of mindset. Are you confident or are you like nervous? Do you think something might or might not happen? Do you know for certain that something will happen? Um, sort of like emotions as well. Like, all right, are you nervous? Are you scared? Are you really confident? Are you just calm? Are you excited? Like, different things that can kind of influence how you perceive something will happen, and can basically inform what you perceive about that situation and whether or not what your control method is will work or not. And so just do something that you would strongly associate with getting the result that you want. And you can kind of make things ahead of time, or you can do something really spontaneous in a dream. In fact, some of the best dream control for me is come up with an idea spontaneously in the dream for what I want to happen. And there's really nothing else associated with that idea except what I want to happen in that moment. And it works. That's typically some of the best dream control for me is just things I come up with on the spot because there's nothing else really associated with those actions. And I find that works a lot. Can you get lucids only from intention setting? How are you just setting intentions? I mean, dial techniques, mild is about intention setting. It's a specific way of setting intention, and it is pretty effective in my view, anyway. That's what I like to do. I will say, if you're just doing something like auto suggestion, you can get lucid from that, but typically it's not as effective as say doing something like mild, and that tends to set stronger intentions. It's kind of borne out by things like what Dr. LeBear just done, who invented it. But yeah, I mean, you say you can get can get lucid from intention setting. Of course you can. I mean, mild is based on intention setting. How are you going about setting your intentions, though? Would be the question. R. A Skyfall blind dreamer. Question. I've been diligently doing reality checks and dream journaling for over a month now, and I've only gotten one lucid. Is that normal or am I doing something wrong? Both, actually. That is normal and you're doing something wrong because reality checking and dream journaling by themselves aren't really that effective. Dream journaling is effective for dream recall. It's effective for noticing dream signs, for helping you find dream signs. It is effective for setting intentions to remember dreams. It is effective for finding any recurring dream signs or themes or patterns in your dream. It's effective for a lot of things and a really key component to lucid dream practice. It is not per se an induction technique. It is a recall technique. Reality checks. In proper terminology, they are called state tests or reality tests. And what a reality check is, it's a way of trying to determine if you're dreaming or if you're awake. It is in dreams, it's typically a confirmation measure because you've already kind of noticed something, either consciously or subconsciously, you've kind of noticed something out of place. And so you're confirming. You're asking yourself if you're dreaming. You're trying to confirm something, a suspicion that you have. Um, Reality checks alone as a technique aren't all that effective. They're more a supplementary practice. They help with boosting critical awareness when done correctly. One of the big issues with how reality checks are taught is that they are taught in a way that results in mindlessness and autopilot reality checks, just spamming them throughout the day or doing them kind of without thinking about them, which is the exact opposite of what anyone wants from a criticality practice. You can't critically think if you're not being present and aware in that moment. You're not critically examining something if you're just doing it passively and not paying attention to what you're doing. And so that's one of the problems with how reality checks are taught on just a broad level. And the other problem with them, one other problem, is a lot of them are based only on dream control. Things like finger through palm or just like, things like counting your fingers and stuff like that. A lot of reality checks work not because of objective differences between waking and dreaming, but because of dream control, because of what you perceive as happening in that moment. And if you're really confident that you're dreaming, you get a dreaming result. And if you're not, if you more associate with a waking result, if you expect yourself to be awake, pretty likely you would get a waking result. Now, there are a couple exceptions to that. There's the nose pinch test where you try to hold your nose and breathe. And you do actually breathe in real life. There is an objective difference. You can hold your nose closed in your dream, but you aren't actually holding your nose closed while awake. That's an objective difference. And you can incorporate the feeling of breathing. And so that is something that is more objective. And then there's the rereading state test, and that works by basically repeatedly examining something complex, usually text, like some form of complex data, repeatedly examining it because that data lacks a stable external reference. And so it doesn't have to change, but it is really likely that it will change. And and then there's also something called memory retracing, and that's where you go back through your memories since you last thought you woke up. You try to look for anything out of place. You think about what you've been doing and what you've experienced, and those are the more reliable state tests. The thing is, state tests shouldn't be used just as a singular practice, shouldn't be used on their own. They're more of a supplement to, say, daytime awareness practices, nighttime practices. They're supplements to a broader induction strategy. So you could do them as part of, say, sporadic awareness technique, or you could do them as, say, part of a daytime awareness routine, and then you can go to bed at night. You can do something like mild, wake back to bed, and wild. You can do, or SLD, you can do strategies like that. They shouldn't be done on their own, though. And they are often taught in a bad way online. So those are sort of my qualms with state tests. And do I have tips? Um, I think Axelot, I think I did answer your question above. If you haven't, do I have tips? Is it related to the spawning thing? Because I did answer that one. Of course, I'm probably really behind, guys. This is how I get when I answer questions because I'm trying to be as detailed as possible. Yeah, good luck, Void Way. It is hard to believe it's starting in just a couple weeks. I wish I was going. It's a shame I wasn't able to get enough money this year. Next year I'm definitely planning to go. I gotta have to start saving up in advance. Skyfall, what method do you personally use? Mild. Mild, 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 mild. That is my go-to. That is what I've been doing for eons. Well, when I say eons, I really mean 962 days and 961 nights, roughly. But, well, not every single one of those, but you get the gist. Devnell, I believe that's the same question. What is your personal lucid dreaming technique? Mild. How do you properly set intention to wake up naturally throughout the night for a while? How do you properly set intention to go to the grocery store? How do you properly set intentions for just about anything? You're deciding to do something in the future. So when you're setting intention, there's really nothing mystical about it. You do it all the time. Perspective memory is something typically that the average human's going to do quite a lot. You're deciding to do something in the future. Anytime you ever plan to do something in the future, you decide to do something in the future, you're setting an intention to do that thing. Let me get some water real quick. And so you have a decision to perform a future action that's usually associated with like some form of trigger. For example, say you want to buy eggs next time you go to the grocery store. Well, your intention, your decision is that you're going to buy eggs. And when is that decision applicable? The next time that you're at the grocery store. So you have this intention that the next time you're in the store, you're going to buy eggs. And remember to buy eggs. Now, two things I found personally that help with intentions is the more important it is to you personally, the more likely you are to do it. So if it's absolutely important, like for example, say you spent several $100s on airfare and you have a flight to catch the next morning, you're darn well going to make sure you get on that plane because you put a lot of money into that airfare. That is a very powerful intention. It's very important. It's something that's important. You know, when if you decide to do something advanced and you've put a lot into it, if it's something that's really valuable to you, then you're more likely to remember that thing because of its value to you. Then there's the more you think about something, and the more you think about it, at least from my experience, the more likely you are to remember something. And so yeah, those two things together, the more important it is to you personally, the more you think about it, the more likely you are to remember it. And so you're deciding to notice when you wake up. You have natural awakenings typically several times throughout the night, and they're usually really, really short, and you just don't notice them. And you fall back asleep and you forget them, just like people forget dreams. And so you'd be setting an intention. You're deciding that whenever you wake up, you will notice that you woke up. When you wake up, you'll notice that you woke up. And so you're making that decision. It should be something that's important to you. And the more you think about it, the more likely you are to do it. No estoy español. No, I'm not Spanish. No estoy latino. No. No, yeah, no soy latino. Soy americano. Soy americano. Sí. I am totally American. Do I still completely agree with how I wrote it, where I change it right now? I meant to change it like a little bit, like 6-7 months ago. I just haven't gotten around to it. I really should. I just haven't gotten around to like editing the website because yeah. But there are a couple things I think I might change part of it. Most of it isn't the actual technique. Most of it is conceptual around like the history of it or comparing it to the original or using an example. And a lot of that is perfectly fine as it is because it's real examples and comparison and term and glossary of terms. I think that's all fine. I just want to change a couple of specific things, and I'll look into doing that. I usually have a copy paste that I give out to people on Reddit and Discord. You've probably seen it. It's exactly 1,249 characters long. I would know because every time I press Control A in that file, it is 1249 characters selected, and so I know it is exactly 1,249 characters long. And it's something that I send to people on the regular. Probably on Reddit, I'd probably send it to people, anywhere from 3 to 6 times a day. I'm more likely to talk about Dream Control. That's been one of the very prominent things on there is talking about Dream Control. How is it possible to maintain ADA doing activities that require attention? Well, there's a couple things. One, but the all day part, you don't have to do it like every single bit of the day, like all day long, constantly, all day. But two, you're just kind of in the background. Like, for example, I'm doing a live stream right now, and I'm kind of aware that I'm doing that live stream and kind of a little bit aware of my senses as well. And I'm talking to you and I'm answering your question. And I'm noticing that there's light coming in through the window because it's literally the only thing I can see ever is bright light. And you're working all day, you can just be aware of your working. You be aware of typing on the keyboard. You can be aware of, whatever you're going around the house. You can be aware of things. Like you can do it. I personally like sporadic awareness technique better because you don't have to do it as often, but it's basically the same concept. But doing it all day long or trying to do it as long as you can throughout the day versus doing it like at times throughout the day when you remember, doing it for a certain amount of time, and just raising your awareness like that. I personally prefer SAT. I would say when you say cappuccino reality checks prove that you're dreaming, kind of. It really depends. Some of them, any state test can fail. Um, most of them are more likely to fail than others because they work off of dream control. But yeah, it's yeah kind of a confirmation measure, basically. Axolotl, no, did not eat a banana. I don't even know where that came from. Like, just dude. Balaz's Balaz Balaz's Petit. I've been using Wild for a while, and I never had success with it because I can't fall asleep when I use an anchor. I tried to use counting clocks ticking sound as an anchor. Have you used anything else as an anchor? How long does it take you to fall asleep when you've done wild versus like, other times when you're not doing wild? Are you too aware? Are you staying awake for much longer, or are you falling asleep really quickly and just like not being aware? Have you considered any other anchors? Have you considered, say any internal anchors? Have you considered like imagining a dream scene or imagining something simple and repetitive? Have you considered, um, have you considered like music, for example, like imagining how a song might play, or some other external anchor, like the texture of your bed or anything like that? Like, I'm curious which way it goes for you. Is it too much awareness? Are you falling asleep too quickly compared to normal? Like that, some of that stuff is helpful in determining what might be the issue. Yeah, if you're too tired, AC3 plays if you're too tired doing wild, then staying up for wake back to bed, yeah, for a little bit, yes, that can help. Can I see the lucid dream only as well as my waking visualization? Mild is my technique, yes. Do I think wild is effective? Yeah, I think it is effective. It's not as effective for me because I'm a really light sleeper, and it takes me a while to fall asleep. So I treat it as kind of an opportunistic thing. But yeah, I think it's really effective. There are some people it's obviously more effective for than others. If you can fall asleep in a pretty reasonable amount of time and learn to find a balance that works real, it can be very effective. But I think it is definitely one of those things that's it's effective for some people. It's really effective for some people. It's not as effective for other people, and it kind of depends. Honestly, it's one of those things you kind of have to figure it out. You kind of have to, experiment with it and find out how effective it is for you. All right, I'll just go you question mark because that's how your thing kind of reads. Stop trying to read about or lucid dream about 4 months ago. Every now and then, still get really vivid dreams. Before I started, I rarely remembered any of my dreams. Okay, that wasn't a question. How can I read these questions? Do I have a screen reader? Yes, it's called NVDA, stands for non-visual desktop access. It is what I use on my personal computer. Yeah, intention is part of intentions is you guys can see how far behind I am. Once I tested my reality again, Marin, that's a form of dream control, and most tests are a form of dream control. I would argue that state tests based purely on dream control aren't as effective as the ones that aren't based purely on dream control. Because it can work, it can also fail because you weren't confident that it would work. Because it's dream control. So there are a couple things to consider there. What techniques would I recommend people with insomnia, and do I have general tips for them? Um, I would say if you're really having trouble falling asleep, wild is probably going to be more difficult because if the whole point of wild is maintaining awareness through that transition. And if you're already having a trouble falling asleep, I can speak from my own perspective as a light sleeper that trying to fall asleep and maintain awareness if you take a while to fall asleep generally is probably going to make that process harder. um I would say, mild is definitely something, honestly. You don't have to do it till you fall asleep, and you can do it, and then you can just go to sleep after you do it. SSILD, I think it depends. Like, if you wake up during the night, I think it depends on how long you spend awake and like if you have any activity. I mean, for me, if I wake up multiple times during a night, and if I'm not very active, I can return to sleep pretty quickly. If I am active, on the other hand, it can take me longer to fall asleep. If I have to get out of bed, for example, to take care of the dog, and I'm out of bed for 20 minutes, actually, let's see, I was up at 10 a.m. and I got back to my bed around 10:22. So it's 22 minutes, and I had to go downstairs and deal with the dog and do some stuff. And so yeah, I was more active, and it took me a while to return to sleep. So I think that depends on how active you are, probably as well. But if you for some, even if you wake up and just don't do anything, you still can't fall back asleep, then probably SSLD wouldn't be too good. Daytime awareness practices, they don't require you to do anything differently with your sleep if you don't want to. Those are always doable. Again, mild, you can do it before bed. You can do it with wake back to bed as well. Um, I guess it would just depend, on personal factors, like how long is it actually taking to fall asleep? Is it taking you 30 minutes? Is it taking you 40 minutes? Is it taking you 2 hours to fall asleep? There's a huge difference in that. Like, someone who takes 40 minutes to fall asleep at the beginning of the night is gonna have different sleep quality than somebody who takes 2 hours to fall asleep. That's, just throwing that out there. Any cool new Lucid experiences in the past few months? Um, well, let me think for a minute. I did have a pretty fun one a couple of nights ago where I basically decided for no random reason except that it would be cool to build a monorail 70 floors in the air on top of a hotel connecting to other places. I did that just for kicks, like 3 nights ago. Let's see, what else have I done? I've been really busy the past few months, and not in the best way. Like with school and other things going on, it's been kind of crazy. So I haven't done like a lot of really spectacular things in my loose ends. I will say several months ago, I had a couple of really fun Star Wars themed ones based on Andor, where I was in that prison, and there was like this one where I freed everyone from this prison, and I was like levitating off the electrified floors and like taking out stormtroopers, and that was fun, honestly. I remember throwing stormtroopers over a balcony railing, and that was fun. Any new PRs or PR ideas? For me, not for me personally. I haven't really thought of any new PR ideas for myself. Hey, I'm doing well, Eclipse. Thank you. And no longer behind as much. You were like 2 or 3 messages behind. I assume you sent this several messages ago. We'll see. Um, I I would say this. So, do you think any other animals can lucid dream like humans can? The science isn't there because we have no way to cognitively question an animal. Think about it for a minute. We don't really have a way to communicate with a cat or a dog and verify that they are aware that what they are experiencing is a dream. We're talking about metacognition, and I don't really see a way of testing that in an animal. Like, are you going to get an animal to make a lucidity signal and indicate that they know that they are dreaming? How would that work? How would that work exactly? How do you teach the concept of being aware that you're in a dream to an animal that can't communicate back to you? I mean, dogs can understand simple words and phrases, but they can't speak English, or they can't speak French, or they can't speak Japanese, they can't speak a human language. So, how do you have two-way communication that is more than very simple association? So, associate no, for example, with not doing a certain task, or go out with going to the door and going outside, or their name with who they are. Like you can do certain things like that with them, but I don't know too much about anything deeper than that really with animals. Like actually trying to you can kind of test their brain function in a way, like can they solve puzzles or can they do things like that. I don't know how you test metacognition. It involves sort of like having a discussion like we're talking about right now. How do you test knowing that you are in a dream when you can't really? How do you get a dream report from a dog? All right, just throwing that out there. A party planet where you snowboard and skateboard. You skateboard on the ice. No, but yeah, that sounds fun. It sounds like a place I would break all the bones in my body because snowboarding, skateboarding just don't really sound like the kind of things I would do well at. Skyfall and his love for complex architecture. Yep. No, and the reason I haven't had a dream is that one blinded from Rouge One is because I have no idea what the heck Rouge One even is, and so I therefore have no idea what you're even talking about, and so obviously no, I haven't. Hey, look at that! I've actually caught up. Now let me go back to StreamYard here because I want to check. Um, I want to see how long. 36 minutes and 16 viewers. Awesome. This is the last message. I timed it to be the last, so no longer you're behind. Well, I'm not. Thank you. Now I'm caught up. So about 36 minutes in, we got at about 16 people. That's not bad. Initially 43 marked as interested in the stream. I don't think we're getting 43 in attendance though. But it's a shame. Maybe later. Maybe we'll get 40 people later. That would be insane though. I would not be able to keep up with a chat of 40 people. I would need some help with that. King Novice, does setting attention throughout the day help with mild as well? Yes. Actually, talking about mild and some of the people who've made it, like Dr. LaBerge and then, Dr. Kristen Lamarca, who's talked about mild as well. Mild is something you can actually do throughout the day. You can set intentions throughout the day, and you could actually practice mild throughout the day. Like you can actually do that. So yes, I would say yeah, it does. Rogue One, the Star Wars movie. Rouge. Just like the way you said that, Rouge One. It came out as like French red. Rouge One? Rogue One. Okay. I know what Rogue One is. All right. Now we got that out of the way. The blind like Jedi dude. No, I haven't dreamed about him before. Skycall give new dream control tips. You figured out anything new in the last few months? The main thing I've kind of been going through is it really is about, like there's this quote from the Burge, and I'm gonna mess part of it up because I don't remember the exact quote, but it's basically perception is dreaming constrained by sensory input, and dreaming is perception without sensory constraint, or something along that line. And basically what it's saying is that the difference between dreams and your perception is that when you're dreaming, there isn't any constraint on your perception. So your perception is basically what governs in a sense. And so like the whole art of dream control is basically like self-control. It's basically controlling how you perceive things and how you respond to things. And basically that is dream control in a nutshell. Like just fundamentally, everything you do when you're doing some form of dream control or some form of trick to do something in a dream, it's all what every time you do something like that, you're altering how you perceive what you're doing. You go, oh well, if I do this, then this will happen. So now you form these associations between doing something and then something specific, and then getting some sort of result. Now you have this perception that if you do that, you get that result, and then you get that result. And so basically, that is dream control in a nutshell. How long do you think it takes most people to get their first lucid dream after trying? That is a very good question because it really varies. Um, you know, someone can get really lucky and get one the next day, and someone can be really unlucky and take 3 months. I mean, there are wild varies. If you click like the outliers on that, it is insane. Just it can really vary. I'd say average is probably 2 to 4 weeks, somewhere in that range. I think it also depends, like, how intense like, the situation I think matters too, like, how intensely are people practicing? For example, the people who go to those people who went to, like, some of those Lucidity retreats where they reported pretty high success rates, you're specifically going to an event for lucid dreaming, and you're getting instruction. It's just like a really intensive thing, and, some in some of those situations, they can get higher than that, but, like, someone casually practicing, assuming they're consistent, probably a few weeks, but that's one of the reasons it's recommended you practice consistently with techniques for like a month or so before switching because it can take a while to actually get results with techniques or to determine how effective it is. And if you're not practicing consistently with it, you're not going to really get a good idea for how effective that technique is. Is there opinion on out of body experiences? Is there a lucid dream term for OBS? My opinion is basically this. You ever heard the term? Well, there's this like phrase, "A rose by any other name is still a rose," and to me, it's a dream by any other name is still a dream. Is kind of my take on it. It doesn't matter if you can feel your body or not in a dream. Like, you can dream in complete third person. You can dream as a disembodied, nothingness. You can dream as any animal or shape or thing that you could conceive of. I mean, your dreams aren't limited to you being in first person in your body. I mean, it's there. There's really not that limitation there. It's all up to you basically. It's what you're capable of coming up with and what you're capable of perceiving happening. Honestly, you're thinking about having lucid tonight, and are you doing it right? Are you? What are you trying to do, Axolotl? Let's see. Okay, let me scroll. All right. All right. All right. What are you trying to do, Axolotl? Like, are you trying to set intentions? Like, what specifically are you trying to do? Do I know of a list of lucid dreams to do? Um, right, Jen, I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out what what you're getting at here. Like, are you talking about lucid dreaming techniques? Are you talking about like things to do in lucid dreams? Like, I'm really trying to understand where you're coming from here because there are a couple different ways that can be interpreted. Paul Tholes, not that much. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of that whole line of stuff. Like, oh, eh, probably the bridge. I don't know. Probably the bridge. I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. To be honest with you, like who I agree with there. I would say like, um, I would say it really depends. I'd say a lot of people, that sort of thing is the average let's put it this way. The average person online who fixates on that typically I don't really want to make the specific comments, but let's just say they typically we deal with a lot of younger people, people who have like let's just say it may not be the best use of their time and leave it at that. Dreaming is perception, unconstrained by sensory. But yeah, that's kind of what I've said. But that's kind of what I've said to people. Dreaming is perception, unconstrained by sensory. But that is what I've said actually a lot. But then I was learned from somebody that wasn't actually the correct quote, so I was kind of confused a little bit. But yeah, dreaming is perception, unconstrained by sensory input is what I typically say. Yuri Nader, retracted. How do I control thoughts in a lucid dream? Basically, how do I control thoughts in a lucid dream? Well, you can kind of determine what you're thinking of, like, try to think about something specific, or you try to think about that. Are you talking about like thoughts as in like what you're thinking in that moment? Or are you talking like emotions, like what you're feeling in that moment? Like if you're scared or if you're worried about something or if you're nervous about something, or are you talking about like, you know, your mindset? Like, are you confident about something happening? Um, just, honestly, like right now, thinking about something. Let's just throw something random out there. Because I'm sitting in front of my computer and I'm typing and I'm talking, reading what you've typed, and there's sunlight coming through the window. Well, I can imagine myself in literally just about any scenario right now. So let me just pick one randomly. It's actually not that random because all this stuff's kind of in my mind. Let's say I am in, okay, Grand Central Madison, the new railway terminal in New York City. Never been there, but I'm just gonna say that I am imagining myself there, and like the sounds that I've heard when I've heard people like talk about it, the layout of the place. Like I can just imagine myself in any type of place or situation that I want to think about. Like I'm trying to get at what you're thinking about there. Like in a lucid dream, where you're trying to like control like a stream of thought, so you just have all these things going on. Um, Crystal Dragon. No wait, I'm late. I'll eat lunch when I'm listening. Aw, but thank you for coming, Crystal. Thank you. But thinking about this, I would say, like, is controlling thought something you typically have trouble doing in general? Or are you able to, like, direct and think about things that you wanna think about? Have I seen Star Trek Stranger Worlds yet? Actually, that's one I haven't gotten around to just yet with Captain Pike and stuff. I haven't actually gotten around to that yet. Alright. Do I have any tips for recalling more details from dreams? Whenever I dreamed out, I usually remember a dream around 2 to 4 a night, but there are quite a few holes in the plot. Well, of course, when you're dream double, you could try to think about what happened before, or like, did do it? Is there anything I know that happened here? Another thing, if thinking about more details, is I think the level of detail that you journal can affect how much detail you can remember. So, like journaling things intentionally, like journaling in more detail, and trying to describe and think about as much as you did as possible, and experience can help with your with detail recall. But that's the qualitative recall side versus the quantitative. Actually how much detail you're able to remember specifically from individual dreams. So you're sort of skipping over parts like a broken record, kind of like skipping on a bit and missing sort of a plot hole and like jumping from one part of a dream to the other, and you're not really sure what happened kind of in the middle, or it's like really vague. I've had that sort of feeling. My when my recall's bad, I know exactly what that's like, not being able to remember details and just only having like vague recollections of certain things, or well, I have no real idea what I hear. I do think like recording things in more detail, like sometimes if I'm thinking about it and I'm journaling something, I'm thinking, okay, well, you see, I came out of here and I made a right turn, and say I came out of a door, and that hallway with that door was on my right, and I started walking down that hallway, and there was as I was imagining this monorail platform behind the hotel, so I needed to get back behind there, and so I was thinking about making a right turn, and so there's a 90-degree right turn to a hallway. And then I kind of tell, like, I was sort of visualizing and imagining like that there was a door in front of us. And so I'm walking to it, and there's this door. And then I can't remember if we like pushed open the door or if it slid open, but I do know that we made it through that door. And now we're standing on this platform. I'm keeping my 70 floors up in the air. I'm describing this dream from a couple nights ago. So I'm with this group of people. And this platform is much like a light rail platform from the city closest to where I live. And so what I did is, because I could feel like the tracks with my cane, like I could feel like off to where the tracks were too low. And so what I did is I made a right turn. I went up this little ramp up onto the platform like you would in this actual light rail system in the city. And now I'm up on this platform. And then a train comes through and leaves without stopping. And I'm trying to determine, okay, so I'm deciding which direction the train's gonna go. And I'm going, okay, the track's on my left. Now I've turned left to face the tracks. The train's gonna go left to right. And so I make a train come into the station, and it goes left to right. And then I make sure that there's a door that opens right in front of me. And so I walk on, and what I immediately do is I imagine there are forward facing seats directly behind the door to my left. And so I find that and I plop myself down, but it's like really cramped, but I don't care. But I just put my bag down because I always have a bag with me and I'm sitting in the seat. And then the doors close, and I'm kind of imagining the train kind of doing its thing, and it starts moving in the wrong direction. I gotta go, oh no, and I gotta correct it. And so then I have to imagine the train. I kind of imagine it moving in the other direction, and then starting to pick up some speed a little bit, and then like I'm trying to imagine like it having an announcement system and that working, although it doesn't really say anything coherent. And then after that, that happened just for a little bit. I could tell there's light coming through. There's a window on my right, and there's like light coming through this window, and the seat is like kind of padded in a way. It makes you think of something very specific, from the town that I live in, and I kind of have sort of that thought process on the train right before I actually wake up. So that's like me going into a good bit of detail. I could have simply just said, I walked out of an elevator in this building, made two right turns, walked on a platform, a train went by, got on a train. That's like 5 sentences. But no, I went into a pretty high level amount of detail into what I recalled there. And that's one thing if you like journaling, you try to journal as much detail as you can remember. There's a blank spot between the dream ending and me remembering the dream. Had this contribute to the detail. Like if it took some time, like if the dream ended and then you woke up and then you didn't think about it for very long, like you didn't think about it for a bit, and then you tried to delve or remember it. Time passing between the dreams ending and you trying to recall them, that does actually affect recall. Dream memory encoding is one of the things that's like less effective when dreaming. So that's one of the things that contributes to like um, poor recall is sort of memory encoding. And so yeah, like if you don't think about it for a bit, that definitely can affect loss of detail and recall. Did lucid dreaming change my life so much? Well, I wouldn't have been so darn active on Discord, teaching people lucid dreaming for the past 2.5 years. Let's see what else. Learning, practicing lucid dreaming, discussing so much, going to that conference last year, just getting engaged with it in so many ways. I I would say it definitely changed my life for the better. Absolutely, because I started doing this in the middle of COVID. It was 2020 was the year of hell for me. A lot of things I enjoyed doing involved being out and about, traveling around, and being around other people, and that wasn't the year for it. 2020 sucked. I had really nothing else to look forward to that whole year, and it was not a fun time for me. And then I learned about lucid dreaming, and I not only found a passion that something I enjoyed doing personally, but I found community. I found groups of people that I could connect with. I found a calling in sort of teaching other people lucid dreaming, connecting with other people over lucid dreaming, and it became a passion of mine. Is mild more effective if a previous lucid dream is used versus a non-lucid one? I would say, I don't know if there's much of a difference. I wouldn't say it's more effective. I'd say I have absolutely done it with previous lucid dream, and I do it a lot with non-lucid dreams. I'd say you can use either. Honestly, I don't think it's more effective. One reason for doing it with a lucid dream is if there's something specific you wanted to do in that lucid dream, but you like forgot to do it, or you did something but you wish it had happened differently. For example, today I was pretty nervous. I had two false awakening that were a lucid dream, two false awakening scenarios. I got lucid in both. One of them, I was sitting here at my computer. I actually got out of bed. I came over here, got on my computer, and I was browsing. I think it was either Reddit or Discord, and I was contemplating. This, like doing some things on here. I think I might have been talking to somebody about this, and then I was checking sort of the time on my Alexa, and it was like really weird. I was like, hang on, this makes no sense. And then I realized I was dreaming. So it was a dream sign. And then I like trying to think, what did I try to do? I know I tried to do something, but didn't quite get what I wanted out of it. Didn't quite get what I wanted to happen. And then I ended up thought I woke up, and I kind of sat up, and I was thinking, well, what time is it? And it was like, oh, it's later than I thought it would be. And then I kind of like got out of bed, and then I checked the weather, or I checked something, and it was like really off. I was like, oh, I'm still dreaming. Oh Lord. And I'd like sat in bed for a couple minutes just thinking about something like that dream. And then I was like recalling it. And then I was like, oh Lord, I'm actually still dreaming. And so I was lucid. But then I just got like really nervous. I was trying to do some stuff, and I was just like, anxious and nervous, and it was causing dream control issues. I was trying to get my Alexa to do something, and then I thought about trying to fly, and just like I was just like too caught up. And what's funny, and I don't know why specifically, but what's funny is this happens the most in False Awakenings. This doesn't happen as often in other situations, but in False Awakenings this happens more. And so I'm like nervous. And so if I were to mild with that dream, I would think about, well, okay, well, what was I like feeling? Why? What was I doing here? And go back through that. Okay, what could I have done differently? Okay, I already knew that I was dreaming. Well, there are a couple things I could have done differently in those false awakenings. There's one, in that second false awakening, I could have realized that I was dreaming sooner. That's one thing that I could have done. I didn't actually notice it until like a couple minutes in, and so I could have realized I was dreaming sooner. And then other things I could have done is I could have, I could have been more calm and collected. I could have calmed myself more. I am, I'm dreaming after all, and it is my dream. And I could have tried to come up with a more constructive way of leaving the house because I really do like leaving the house, honestly. I didn't really get around to it. And so there are a couple things that I could have done differently. So if I'm milding that dream, I can think about like what ifs and think about what I could have done differently with milding with lucid dream. And I think that's beneficial. That's something worth pursuing in my view. Ever had a Blade Runner like lucid dream? No, I haven't. And part of that is I've only ever watched Blade Runner once in my life. And so it's not something I really paid too much attention to, and two, not really high on my list, I think. But yeah. I've had a bunch of non-lucids based on games. There's an audio game that I've been playing lately that I hadn't played in 7 years, and I've had a lot, like 6+ dreams about that in the past like week and a half. Have I ever thought about making a podcast or something? I'm not sure what I talk about all the time. I could do like I could do like episodes on dream control or do things. People have brought up that idea of making a podcast. I haven't really given it a ton of thought. Like I'm not sure logistically trying to think like how it would work or what I would do. I like the teaching moments like what we're doing here. I like teaching people directly and giving people like live feedback and advice and answering questions. I really like doing that. Things to do in a lucid dream. Honestly, whatever you want. Honestly, whatever you want. Like one thing I think is really cool is, have you ever heard of reverse skydiving? This is something I came up with in 2020. So basically, skydiving is where you take off in a plane, you fly up to some altitude. For me, it's like 14,000 feet. You jump out of that plane, you fall down about like 10,000 feet, deploy a parachute, and you float the rest of the way down and land. That's skydiving. Reverse skydiving, you're on the ground, you jump up in the air, you start flying, you find an airplane, you intercept that airplane, you board that airplane. All right, that's reverse skydiving. And then bonus points if you actually go take over that airplane and start flying it. That's cool. As far as other ideas, honestly, whatever you find interesting, really. You're trying to attention set. Are you doing it right? You're thinking all day of having another lucid dream. Are you deciding that you're going to have lucid dreams? Are you deciding it? Have you considered doing mild during the day or doing mild before bed? Have you considered doing that? I think that'd be a really powerful way to set intention. That's something that could help you if you want to do intention techniques. I don't really see a reason why not to do mild at that point. To be honest with you. Yeah, associated with waking up. Ooh, ouch. Yeah, I've done that enough to know that this sucks. Sorry to hear that. Oh, the link is timestamped to where the verse says that. I didn't even know you sent me a link. Can you send that to me? Are you on Dream Cafe? Can you send that to me privately on Discord, please? Just send me that link. That would be great. Thanks. Yeah, I've been quoting it correctly. Yeah, I thought I heard it online somewhere. In fact, I know I heard it online somewhere. Yeah, just send that link to me directly in DMs, please. Thank you. I answered that earlier, to the Ryan. Not really. How does PR work? Do you enter that on a lucid dream and go to it, or do you enter that dream directly? Honestly, it depends on the person. I think a lot of people like Sensei when he has his PRs, all his dreams are just there, and he just, that's just where he dreams. Some people you have to like for me when I've gone to my spot, like you have to manually navigate there, or you find some other way of like going there. It really depends on the person, I think. Some people have dream worlds they create, and then they just incubate them, and they just dream in those worlds, and that's just what they do. I think it varies from person to person. Holy Brooks, is that Skyfall recommendations? You are on my live stream. Hello. Welcome. Stick Z, I don't know what technique to use, and my recall is at an all-time low. I just recalled a single dream last night. Well, I would ask you, what are you doing consistently to improve your recall? And also, how is your sleep schedule? Like, are you getting not only a consistent amount of sleep, the same, like say 7 to 9 hours, or 8 to 10 hours if you're younger? Um, are you keeping a consistent schedule and sleeping at the same times? And then, what are you doing to help you remember your dreams? Oh, duh. Okay, I don't remember this name. Chimpertainment. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember that name. So there you go. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, DJ. Yeah, Chimpertainment. I didn't remember that as your name. Didn't track for me. How come I don't participate in any of the Dreamviews competitions? Part of that's probably because I'm not on Dreamviews. I'm busy doing a lot of things. Having another site to be on is I'm trying to balance my time between the stuff I'm already on and doing, and that's hard enough for me, to be honest with you. So part of it is just I'm not on there. Like that really is like the most honest answer. I don't really pay attention to what they do over there because I'm not there. Have a hard time not focusing on them. Any tips? You can be aware of them without focusing on them. Like you can notice that they're there. You can track them and use them as an anchor. But focusing is like being more intense, like sort of like paying in a higher level of attention to them. You can pay attention to hypnagogia and like let it pass and be aware of it without trying to influence it or without trying to pay a ton of attention to it. Like there is a passive way to engage with hypnagogia. You don't have to ignore it completely. You can use it as an anchor if you'd like. I didn't either. Hey, my battery is at 10%. Let me plug in my computer before I lose the stream. There we go. See ya, Void Away. Have a good one. Use 6 hours of sleep, and you dream delve when you can sometimes. I think we found the recall issue. 6 hours? I don't know your age, but I'm assuming if you're part of Dream Cafe that you're younger than 20. 7 to 9 hours for adults, and I think it's 8 to 10 for kids, for younger people. So yeah, you're definitely not getting as much sleep as you could. And I will say this, even if you just slept for 8 hours, those last 2 hours in an 8-hour period are where you're going to have your most vivid dreams typically, your longest dreams. That your REM periods get longer. At 6 hours, you should have still had 4 dreams, but they might be shorter as well. And if you're not dream delving consistently, and you're not consistently attempting recall methods, and you're not getting a proper amount of sleep each night, I would say we found out why your recall isn't as good as it could be. I think that is a fair assessment. I also don't know if your schedule is consistent. I can speak from personal experience that not having a consistent sleep schedule and not getting enough sleep definitely do not work wonders for one's recall. I can tell you from personal experience, recall sucks when you're not getting the proper sleep. Mild is awesome. Axolotl, if you got any questions about it, honestly, you just ask me somewhere. I will happily help you learn mild. It's my thing. I love mild. Mild's awesome. All right. We have Sticks Z. I think try to get a consistent sleep schedule. 1, consistent sleep schedule. 2, consistently get an appropriate amount of sleep. 3, consistently practice recall techniques. And I think you do those things, you'll probably notice an improvement in your dream recall. Let's see. I have caught up with the chat, everybody. Let me just check my phone because I did start right around 2. And we've been at it for an hour and 4 minutes. Awesome. This is awesome, guys. Let me see how many people we have on here. Wow, we still have 15 after an hour and 4 minutes. That's amazing. Awesome, guys. We have any other questions? Does anyone else have anything they would like to ask, anything they'd like to learn more about. I think we've discussed a pretty wide range of topics today. We got through dream control, we got through awareness techniques, mild, wild, wake back to beds. We talked about insomnia a little bit with one person. We talked about state tests, criticality and awareness, we perception and dreaming. We've gotten through quite a lot, so we've had a pretty productive hour. Definitely happy with it. Awesome. Thank you very much. And of course, obviously, Axolotl, if you've been following my streams, you know mild isn't just repeating phrases, so I'm pretty sure you should be good there. You've been on my streams for a while. Awesome. King Novice, can you have more lucid dreams during the night with wild than the one you slip in? Well, of course. I mean, you can have more than one lucid dream in a night, just regardless. Like if you're practicing techniques, like I've had, I think the most I've had was a DEILD chain. It's ridiculous. I woke up and fell back asleep 7 times in like not a very long period of time. It was ridiculous. It was amazing though, but it was ridiculous. Like it was crazy. And then I've had nights where I've more legitimately had like 5 in a night. And that was crazy too. Honestly, a single night with 5 lucid dreams is awesome. Just saying that's amazing. That was truly awesome when that happened. So you definitely can. Like you can have heightened awareness, like slip into a dream with wild. You could wake up, fall back asleep. You could get a dialed. You could end up with another lucid dream. Like I would say, obviously, the more you're practicing, the more likely you are to get results. This is the only stream I enjoyed, to be honest. Well, of all the streams you've been on, I'm really glad you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for coming. You got this. What's really funny, Pro Gamer, you put "you got this" is a graphic, and the alt text read, because there's no capitals and no spaces, it read as "you got us," like a goddess. It was like, you got us, or you got us, and then I had to read it, and it was "you got this." It's funny. And I am not in the LD chat at the moment because I tend to turn off Discord to avoid distractions when I'm streaming with a stream chat. So a stream opinions on Rodrigo's old method. I don't think I've really discussed it with people much in a while. I know he has something with like this like kind of like eclectic method of doing wild that he tells people to do. That's the main thing I know about him, and also that he definitely takes a more spiritual approach to lucid dreaming. I personally I like to take a more like scientific approach to it. To me, I'm just in general, I'm just more of like a logic kind of being, in logic driven being in general, I think. But like I'm not sure the old method. I know what he has taught about because there's a guy, Roger Guerreiro, Portuguese, who has followed some of this stuff, and I've talked to him about it. Let's see, was it last year or was it early this year? Honestly, it's been forever since I talked to him about that. Like, it might have been last year, to be honest with you. I haven't touched that in a long time. I want to experience clear light, but I get a DMT trip almost every time I try it. You're talking about in a lucid dream. I'm not sure what you mean by clear light, though. Like, there are a lot of visual references that are kind of lost on me, and I'm not sure what you mean by clear light. Like, light being clear, like, are you talking about like the sun? Are you talking about like all the colors? Because to me, like all the light frequencies together, that's white light. I'm not sure what you mean by clear light. Have I met Sensei in person? I wish. He and I do not live within a comfortable driving distance of each other. I can't drive. He has a family, and airfare is expensive. So no, we have not met. I wish. I really wish we have. We've toyed around with the idea, but nothing ever happened because he's not on my side of the country and I'm not on his side of the country. And unfortunately, we've just never made it work. I have met, now get this, I have met exactly one person from the Lucid Dreaming Discords. This is one of the most amazing coincidences in my life. And there are a couple of people here who I think might know who or what I'm talking about. But I'm going to be intentionally vague because I don't want anyone to know where I live. But there is, in our larger lucid dreaming community, a lot of people I've talked to all around the world. And then there's like the Omni Lucid community that I've been in, and a smaller community. And then there's an even smaller community of people that kind of formed the Omni Lucid community. And in that even smaller community, one person just randomly that I've talked to in there, turns out we live in the exact same town, less than 20 minutes from each other. Like, what are the odds on that? Go buy a lottery ticket. What are the odds? And so I met them for lunch once. And that's as much detail as you're gonna get because I'm not gonna reveal anything else. There might be some people here who know what I mean. Maybe one person I think might have a rough idea of what I'm talking about. But that's like all the context I'm gonna give. Do I have any ideas for tips for stabilizing dream when it starts to fade away? One thing I would note is um, don't assume that you need to stabilize just in general because one of the biggest myths is that stabilizing is actually required. And one of the problems with that, and this is different from like trying to prolong the dream as it's naturally ending. I'll get to that in a minute. But in general, one of the biggest misinterpretations around stabilizing is that it's a requirement, something you have to do when you get lucid. And the reason this is a problem is because while it doesn't directly say, hey, your lucid dreams are going to be unstable, it does say you have to stabilize them when you get lucid, which that also invokes the other side of that association, which is that your dreams are unstable. So what that does is it creates an association between getting lucid and having unstable dreams. And what that actually does is that association causes premature awakenings. It's one of the biggest problems with the myth of you having to stabilize dreams when you get lucid. Now, what stabilization was originally meant for, if you actually read Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming and go back for it, it's like if the dream is starting to end, kind of like what you're describing. What you can do is engage your senses more. It's like grounding yourself. Basically, you're grounding yourself in the dream and engaging with your senses in that dream environment. The goal is, if you're going to do that in like at the end of a dream, is to do that without associating getting lucid with having unstable dreams, because that can cause premature awakenings. And that's the biggest problem with this whole, with a lot of the people online that say like you have to stabilize dreams. It's not actually true. You don't actually have to do that. And so when people say that you have to do that, it creates this negative association that, oh, if I get lucid and I don't do it, then I'm going to wake up. Or if I do get lucid, I don't do it quickly enough, then I'm going to wake up. And then that just causes people to wake up. And that's where the problem is. But if your dream is just naturally ending, you can do a couple things. One, you can try to ground yourself in it and try to prolong it for a little bit. Another thing you can do is let it end and try to do DEILD, where as you're waking up, you just like basically what you do in this case is if you notice like starting to fade, like just grab like whatever the image is of the dream, like just imagining what you're sensing in that moment, just grab it and hold it and just think about it. And then just try to go through like that transition and see if you can go back to sleep and re-enter that dream through DEILD, because that is a possibility. That is something I can. I've done it many times. In fact, most of my wilds are DEILD. That is another way to approach it. Not worry about waking up being the end of your opportunity. I think part of it too is like worry too much about, oh, if I wake up, I can't go back to this. It's not exactly true. You could wake up and you could fall back asleep doing DEILD, like not fully wake up, and you could fall back asleep and you just re-enter a dream and you're still lucid. You could wake up and it's not time for you to get up yet, and you can do a technique, or you can go back to sleep and you can still have a chance to get another lucid dream. It's not the end of the world. That's the other thing. So, if you're more relaxed approach to, okay, well, even if I do wake up, it's not the end, then you wouldn't be so worried about waking up, and then you'll probably have just better experience in general. My sleep schedule is kind of inconsistent. Sometimes I'll go to bed at 12 a.m. Other times 9 or 10 p.m. I will say again, having a consistent sleep schedule it's definitely something that would help you. I honestly believe that having a consistent sleep schedule would help you. A clear light is a dream you get to. That explains why I don't know it. Thank you, DJ. I haven't actually read that book yet. So yeah, that explains why I don't know it. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, I don't know how to get there. It's not something I've actually like followed much. DJ knows a lot more about Tibetan Dream Yoga than I do. That's Chip Entertainment. You can find him at DJ Dreams on Lucid. He's definitely a better source for information about that than I am. So I've never done anything like that. I don't. You don't have to have permission to use that. To be honest with you, literally, you're just pasting your website. You're not unless you claim that you made it. I think that's where you would generally have a problem. I've shared that guide. Does anyone here know how many times I've shared it on Reddit? Because to be honest, I have lost track. I've probably shared that guide 200 to 600 plus times on Reddit in the past 7 months. Honestly, I've shared that guide a lot. Never gotten any flack for it. I don't think you would. I think because she wants people to go to her public page. That is not proprietary. That is not part of her paid course. That is part of her public stuff that she shares directly to people. That is a blog post she wants people to read, and I don't think she's going to mind if people read it because that's what it's there for. So I think the only problem you would ever have is if you claim that you wrote it and you're not saying that you're claiming that you wrote it because that would be very stupid. And none of us here are going to claim that we wrote something that somebody else wrote because that's not our style. Who are the chatters that stick to your mind the most? I assume from this stream. You, Axolotl, actually are one. And the reason why your name sticks to me is if you read the Dune series, you'll find out why. I will say that particular concept is NSFW, but for anyone who knows the Dune series, you'll know what I'm thinking about when I read his name. Let's just say there's a certain bit of technology in the Dune series that uses that word, and it means something very specific that I don't want to discuss on a live stream. But it's not anything against you. It's just memorable. Your name is memorable because it has these other associations that I connect to it. Obviously, people that I know, like Crystal and Voidway, they stick out really well because I know them. Anyone that I know, their names are memorable because I know them and I can recognize them. Anyone whose name triggers like very specific associations has a memorable name, like yours does. So Cappuccino, that's someone I've known for like over a year. Thank you for joining, Cappuccino. You have yourself a good day. James Johnson. Hello. In my opinion, what are the best books on lucid dreaming? Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming by Dr. Stephen LaBerge is a really good one. I would say there's a very similar one is Learn to Lucid Dream by Dr. Kristen Lamarca. It's very similar to LaBerge's. I will say it's a little bit different because one, I think it's a little shorter, and it's got a little bit more like couple of more like modern approaches, like it has her version of mild in there, which is a little bit more like a more modern take on it than his. Still very good book. They've researched together. They have a lot of similar things that they've said. Um, there are a bunch of other books that I just haven't read yet. Like a lot of people like Wagner's Gateway to the like Lucid Dreaming Gateway to the Inner Self. A lot of people like that. I haven't read that yet. Um, there are a couple of other books out there, but honestly, I think Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming, bar none, is got to be one of, if not the best one. It's like everyone should read it. And OMG Skyfall. You said where did you hear that? Like I would say here's one thing you could do, like Crystal. So if you're really like you're displaying it in a channel for people to be able to publicly access, right? You're not displaying it in a document claiming that you wrote it. All like if you really just want to cover your bases, just say who it's by, like who wrote it, and that it's theirs. Honestly, just give credit because it's in the public domain. It's not behind a paywall, and you're not claiming you wrote it. It's in the public domain, and so basically what you're doing is you're linking it, and you're not claiming that you wrote it. So if you put her name on it, say it was written by this person, and then you have the link to it, it's their website. So you're not copying the whole thing. If you copied it and you pasted the whole text on your website, and then you claim that you wrote it, that would be a violation of copyright law. That would be illegal, and that would actually get you in trouble, probably. claiming, saying that here's a good guide on the mile technique, here's who wrote it, and then having a link to that person's website, you're not claiming that you made it. You are claiming here's a resource that I like, that I would like other people to be able to have access to. I'm citing my sources. Here's where I learned about the mile technique. That's perfectly reasonable in my opinion. Crystal, if I could make the character limit longer for my chats, I'd make it 20,000 characters. You know me. That's YouTube. That's not me, okay? I have no control whatsoever of that measly little 200 word character limit, 200 character limit. I might get the only reason I don't do like a chat thread on Discord for messages or Reddit is because I don't want to limit people. I want to include as many people on these streams as possible, and I don't want to limit people to specific locations to have to be able to participate from outside the stream. I don't want to be that person. What material is the blanket on the bed? I'm really curious for. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know what brand sheets I have. I don't know. I have a Tempur-Pedic mattress. I don't know about the sheets. I don't hit you with anything. YouTube does. Oh, your name is Banana Duck in Discord? Oh, okay. I thought you were just being odd. Okay, so that's you. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense now. You could have just said that you're Banana Duck on Discord without making it awkward. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I'm glad I was able to answer your question, Crystal. Question: do I like Mystic's guide on it? I'd say, I'd say it's okay. I think get the point across that it's not like actually a requirement. I think is was what's really important and what it's actually for. I think having people understand what it's for is pretty important. I do think that, because I think her original guide that I read a long time ago, if you're talking about the same one, if we're talking about the one that I think she made in 2021, uh, it I think it kind of indicates that I think it might stray a little too close to that it's a requirement territory versus what it's actually kind of meant for, and I might have a little bit issue with that. Yeah, YouTube character limit sucks. I know, trust me. What technology can help yeah. What technology can help supplement a lucid dreaming practice? Honestly, there is stuff that's out there. There's stuff that does need some development. I will say honestly, for me right now, I'm just using my phone for a couple things. I've used my phone for a few different things in sort of things. I've been trying to incorporate music into my dreams on purpose, and so I've used my phone for that, messing around with different volumes to try to incorporate things. I've used a couple of different apps. There's a lot of stuff in development. Uh, there is some technology. I actually just read a paper, and you might have seen this too. If you didn't, you know where to look for it. If you haven't seen this paper yet, but there are these scientists out of Georgia Tech and Emory University, Atlanta, Georgia. I know where that is. Who actually were testing this new EEG technology. This is actually really cool. It's polysomnography technology, but instead of having a bunch of wired electrodes hooked up to someone and lets a really like have a complex process, they develop these patches that people can wear that can measure their sleep data. Now, the people who made it specifically for sleep apnea detection, but they are claiming results that indicate that it has a similar detection rate on a clinical level with polysomnography, which is the gold standard not only for just typical sleep studies, but also for dream research. And so you could take that, you could apply it to a whole variety of concepts involving dream research and actually doing research outside of laboratories. Also, you can take that exact same technology and you could apply it to lucid dream induction by having very highly accurate compared to like your average devices out there right now. You can develop some stuff with some pretty high accurate data. Like it's designed to be reusable. I think there's still obviously needs to be work on it. Like they've done some stress tests on it, but I think they've really only meant it to last about a week. I don't know how long they've got it. Like the one thing I'd like to know is, well, how long can you use it before it breaks? Like, just total, like, how long can you use it before it breaks? I think just having a full-on stress test, instead of, like, using machines to try to break it, like, induce and stress test it that way, just usage stress test, like, how long can you use it before it actually breaks, is something I would like to know, because, like, that would indicate where that specific technology could be improved. And then also the cost. How much does that technology cost? Because I doubt that is cheap. At least, I don't know if they can make that cheaply or not. That's going to be the thing. Like, how cost effective is that technology? How often does it have to be replaced? And so that's going to be an interesting thing. But I found that whole paper really interesting. There's a lot of things that are being in development right now, but there's still a lot of work to do in terms of accuracy in measurements. Like, if you're going to do anything for lucid dream induction, you're going to be trying to basically use some form of cue to indicate to someone that they're dreaming. Usually, something like that requires some form of sensory incorporation, visual, auditory, or tactile. Um, Generally are the ones that are used. So it requires some form of sensory incorporation, and that requires some form of accurate sleep monitoring to determine if someone is in REM sleep or not, to determine when to apply those particular stimuli that should be incorporated. And then, of course, there's a bit of cognitive training that goes into recognizing that stimulus and knowing what it means, and then trying to calculate it in a way so that it doesn't wake up whoever's using it. So I think, all these things kind of go into that, just like they would in a sleep lab, but you're trying to take that and doing it at home. Um, the technology is getting there, and it's absolutely getting there. There's still work to be done, and a good bit of work to be done, and that work is being done. Some of the work is outside of our control as a collective hour, because they're, like, for example, Apple and Fitbit, and getting access to some of their algorithms and their actual real-time data, it can be an issue. So there are certain things that are outside individual developer controls. And so I do think, like, having something like that new polysomnography patches, like those technologies that were developed by the people in Georgia, I think if that ever takes off, you could take that same data, instead of just running it through that one specific app for that one specific purpose. If you could take that data and then apply it to any other applications, now you're talking. Now you got some really good resources for a wide variety of applications. Out of context, do I like football and do I have a favorite team? Yes, I do. I won't. It's not a professional team; it's a university team, and I won't say which one, because that'll tell you pretty much where I live. So I'm not going to say which team I follow. Okay, someone with an unreadable name. Yes, your name is unreadable. It is in characters that a screen reader cannot read. What are your thoughts on supplements for lucid dreaming like galantamine and choline? I seem to be having success with them, but I can't decide if it's placebo effect or not. I heard that of like all the supplements out there, galantamine is one of the ones that has, like, been scientifically studied to actually have an effect. Like, it has actually been scientifically studied and demonstrated to have an effect. My personal take on supplements is that, you know, I'm sort of an opportunist. I think, like, why pay for something you can do for free? That's kind of one part of my mindset. And I definitely think if you're going to use that, you should understand what all of them do, and you should be smart about it and make sure that's something you're actually wanting to do. And it's one of the things that I've heard about supplements too. It's not something to rely upon regularly, and so it's not a routine induction practice, because you're trying to rely on stuff like that regularly can lead to diminishing results over time, from what I can tell. Um, so it's not as, like, consistent as an effect that you could get with that as you could get with, like, cognitive techniques. Oh, cool. I don't know. I don't think that technology is available for the general public yet. That they're look into that paper. You know where to find the paper. Okay, if you don't, just DM me and I'll link it to you. But it's I don't think the technology is available yet for, like, at home testing in general. These were tests that were done in Atlanta. Emory University and Georgia Tech did these tests, and I don't think it's available for wider use yet. This paper was All I know is we got the paper, like someone found that paper for for us to read like last week. I don't know when exactly it was published, but it's probably a pretty recent development. I'd say considering that sounds like the first test of this technology, that there's still work to go before it becomes widely accepted as something that can be used for this type of thing. Awesome future or dystopian nightmare? I read the rest of your question as well. Dream reading technology. I'd say it could be a pretty awesome future if used correctly. I'd say the way I can see it becoming a dystopian nightmare is if you get to a point where you have brain computer interface technology that you can't control. Okay, if you're going to have that sort of technology, the user has to be able to control it, turn it on and off, and decide when it works. Otherwise, you could get some really Orwellian scenarios where if you ever read 1984, you know the thought police. Orwell didn't take that as literally as you could if you could actually read someone's thoughts through a brain computer interface. That would just go to a whole new level. I can imagine so many ways that could be abused and misused. And so, obviously, if any of that technology is going to exist, the user needs to be able to control it. I can see some really good applications for full-on brain-computer interfaces. Like I've thought of so many different cool things that can be done with them. The user needs to be able to control it, though. If the user isn't able to control it, then it becomes much more invasive and much more dystopian than if the user can actually control it. Also, I don't really want advertisements in my dreams. I mean, I have to deal with them already. Imagine having to hit a skip ad button every time I tried to fly. That would just be so annoying, wouldn't it? As far as accurately visualizing and reproducing dreams, I think that part can be really, really cool. Imagine the kind of movies you can make just by going and like having some really creative person record their dreams. You could make high budget movies with much less effort with CGI. Thank you, Axolotl, for coming. I do appreciate it. Have yourself a good day. And I'm caught up. Hold on a second. One thing is, that stabilizing isn't actually necessary, right? We just talked about this about 20 minutes ago, I think. 20 minutes. Yeah, I think that's fair. I would say again, you don't have to actually you don't have to physically stabilize lucid dreams. That is a common myth, that it's a common misconception that you have to stabilize dreams, and that creates dream instability by having that association there. And so try not to associate getting lucid with waking up or being unstable, because if you have that association that you have to stabilize your dreams, you're associating getting lucid with instability and you're actually causing that to happen. And so that's something to try to avoid, to be honest with you. Um, it's more like if the dream's ending, like you've already done stuff and the dream's ending and you're trying to prolong it, which is something completely different. So I would say try and do something intense. Depends on what it is. Maybe just give it a few seconds. Like once you've gotten into the dream, just give it a few seconds. But honestly, try to relax and have fun is kind of my advice, I think. Try not to worry too much. Worrying isn't a good thing in my opinion. Like when you're dreaming and you're trying to have fun, like just worrying about things isn't really great in my opinion. Just try to relax and have fun. I would be what I'd advise on that. Message retracted. Axolotl. I'm glad you mentioned DreamX initiated lucid dream method. It's a primary method and it works well for me. But for some reason, most of my dreams are like OBEs. There's no blackout between awake and dream state. I'm not sure what you mean by that. So you mean you're noticing when you transition into your dreams? So you're not actually. So are you lucid in most of your dreams then? Are you noticing that when you transition? I would say in terms of quote unquote blackout, we don't generally remember that. What we remember typically, the average person remembers is we fall asleep and then you remember waking up or you remember your dreams, and you don't really remember the whole in between, like falling asleep in your dreams. We don't really remember that. I will say DELD typically isn't a primary method. It's DELD is more of an opportunistic method. It's more something there's specific times you can do it. Like using DEILD as a primary method for lucid dreaming is like trying to make your train connections every single time across the platform at the exact same time, every single time you try to take a train to a specific place, you connect to another one directly across the platform. Sometimes the train's there waiting on you, and you're able to run over there and grab it. Sometimes it's pulling into the station, and you're able to run over there and grab it. And sometimes it's 10 minutes away, and you got to sit there and wait on it. It's not the most reliable thing. It's a very opportunistic thing. Um, but if it works well for you, that's amazing. I would say it for most people using that as a primary method probably isn't a good idea. Awesome. Awesome, Axolotl. Thank you very much for your contributions today. Really appreciate having you around. And I do hope you have a good rest of the day. Cheers. I swear we've been on for an hour and a half. 1:34:54, 1 hour 35 minutes, everybody. Awesome. This is awesome. Do we have any more questions? I don't notice any. If there are any more questions, I'm really happy for everyone who actually made it and turned out. And thanks, DJ. I'm really happy to do it. It's a lot of fun. I will say it's good to not be in school right now, and it's a lot of fun. It's great. Smiling face with horns. I should be studying, but instead I'm listening to this. Oh yeah. Have you got tips to increase lucidity? That's a very good question, actually. Um, the more aware you are during the day, that helps increase daytime awareness. So, being more aware of, like, for example, right now, Ryujin, what are you doing? Well, you're listening to my voice, you're listening to me talk. So, auditorily, you're hearing me talk. Well, what are you seeing? I assume you're looking at your phone, your computer, or tablet screen, whatever device you're watching this on. And so you probably see my stupid face, or just my face. You probably just see my face, or whatever the heck I'm doing over here. Which you see some random guy in his pajamas giving you lucid dreaming advice. So that's another thing that you probably see. Now, what do you feel? What are you holding? What are you doing? So being more aware throughout the day of your senses and also what you're experiencing can help you be more aware in your dreams. That can translate. That's the point of awareness practices like SAT and ADA. Also, you could try to set intentions to be more aware, to notice things. I do think daytime awareness definitely helps with being more aware. And then practice, I think sometimes you get some really low awareness lucids, and sometimes you get some really high awareness lucids. Sometimes it kind of fluctuates. Sometimes so it can go up and down, to be honest. I definitely think having increased awareness in general and being less on autopilot as a sort of normal thing can just help with that. When you become lucid, how do you do to be even more lucid? Well, you're trying to increase awareness. You could just try to be more aware of the experience. Be a, like the airport. You be aware, mindful, aware of your surroundings. Whatever all the stuff they say at the airport. Being, with the whole all the security concerns and all that stuff. For all the Americans in here, you'll know what I mean. If you ever flown somewhere, all that. If you see something, say something, all that kind of thing. So just like all those things, actively encouraging you to be more aware of what you're experiencing. But yeah, in the dream, just be mindful and aware of your surroundings, and just be aware of everything that you are experiencing in that moment. So just being aware of what you're experiencing, I think, could help you with that. Again, semi-lucid. Not sure what you mean by that. Okay, lucid dreaming and control are two separate things, right? They're two separate skills. Lucid dreaming is about being aware that you're in a dream, knowing that you're in a dream. At the high end of awareness of lucidity is knowing that everything around you is part of that dream. Everything you're experiencing is part of the dream. You are part of the dream. Everything around you is part of that dream. That you could have better access to waking memory. You can remember intentions. That's the high end of lucidity. Control is about your perception. Okay, what are you feeling in that moment? Like, what are your thoughts and your emotions, and what's your mindset about the experience? How do you perceive that experience as it's happening? That's how control works. It's about your perception. And so on one hand, you're dealing with your awareness, your knowledge that you're dreaming, your awareness of what's going on, and just how much you know that everything around you, including yourself, is part of that dream and your access to waking memory. And then on the other hand, you're dealing with your control, you're dealing with your perception of the experience of what you're able to do, your perception of your own ability, and everything that goes with that. User, hey how you so good at referencing specific lucids by number? Do you memorize them after the initial recalling? Is this a result of reading your journal, or does it naturally come to you? It naturally comes as a result of me creating an Excel spreadsheet with all my lucid dreams and numbering them. So when I literally go back and review any lucid dreams in my spreadsheet, they are numbered. And that is how I track my lucids. I number them all. I have been numbering them since, well, basically since Thursday. Since I got my second one, I started actually numbering them. And that was Thursday, October 15th of 2020. I've been numbering them ever since. Study and listen. Multitasking here. Hello, Marin, or as your secret identity on Discord, Earindil. Yep, Earindil. I really do like that name quite a lot. Just saying. You know, I'm not gonna stop thinking of you as a half elven mariner who sails on a ship to Valinor, because Morgoth is taking over all of Middle Earth, and now you have to break the band of the Valar, and your wife, she's turned into a bird by Umo, the Vala of the Sea, and she flies and pins the Silmaril onto your brow, and you have that living light as you sail back, forced upon the waves, back to the coast of Valinor, to Aman, where you finally meet with Manwë. And now that you've broken the Van of the Valar and you have survived the doom of the Valar, you are forced to choose. You choose to become an elf, and you are now immortal, and you can no longer go back to Middle Earth because your job is to carry that Silmaril that you brought to Valinor across the sky forever. Like, you're Eorindil. Oh, Crystal, you're so funny. You're so funny. First of all, lies. Second of all, no. Third of all, evil gang. Fourth of all, this is just an excuse. All right, Crystal, that was funny. Okay, you made me laugh. That was funny. I had to do that. I think we're gonna be wrapping up shortly, but this has been so much fun. Oh my goodness, this has been a lot of fun. Let's see who's even still here. Stop 12 people. Wow, 12 mostly quiet people. You guys are awesome. You guys are loyal to the end. I like you. I appreciate all of you. You guys are awesome. Don't wrap up. I need to keep not studying, please. Okay. All right. You are legit hilarious, Crystal. Cristal. Es muy cómico. Es verdad. Thank you, Ryujin, for coming today. I do appreciate it. You do have yourself a good one. I'm going to open up the final call for questions. Last call for questions. Who all's got questions they want answered? We are getting ready to wrap it up. It's been over an hour and 42 minutes, everybody. This has been amazing. Let's see. 142.46, almost an hour and 43 minutes. I've appreciated every single one of you who's been here today. You guys made this awesome. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Pleasure hearing you as well, and I do hope you have a good one. All right, guys. This has been awesome. I again, I do appreciate everyone who's taken their time out of their day to come watch today. That's why I plan these in advance to, make sure everyone can schedule. I'm not seeing King Novice. Thank you for watching. Bye. And 1.4 hours, actually 1.3, no, 1.75 hours, not 1.4 hours. 1 hour and 3/4 is 1.75 hours. Thank you so much, Marin, for coming. I do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. We are going to end here. I just want to once again thank everyone for coming out. This has been amazing, honestly. And we'll be doing this again in short enough order. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night, everyone.